We're back on the roof again, and today we got an excellent guest, Chris Campion. He's a singer, a writer, and an all-around entertainer. And I'd like to welcome you to the rooftop, Chris.
Good to be here, man.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us how you got started as an entertainer in general.
It's funny, the term entertainer. I hear that, and it's like jazz hands. Yeah. Well, I do a good. I worked out an impersonation of Jim Morrison.
Here comes the hook.
Yeah. The vaudeville hook. Oh, you just said Mammy. We do this bit on stage. Jim Morrison. If you fuse Jim Morrison with Al Jolson, it would be, Father, yes, son, I want to kill you. Mammy? I do that joke all the time. Nothing.
Okay, but I call you an entertainer because you're diverse. You do so many different things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there a label? Would you give yourself a label?
No, that's actually probably encapsulates.
Why are you fucking with me?
No, I'm not. Yeah. It feels Broadway Danny Rose to me. Like, what do you do for a living? I'm an entertainer. Somebody called me a raconteur. They threw a French word at me. It was some interview I gave a few years ago, and I was like, oh, that's a cool word, but I couldn't say it to somebody. Hey, what are you? I'm a raconteur by trade.
But the expression goes, jack of all trades, master of none, but that's not the case with you. I mean, everything you do, you nail.
Yeah. Well, just getting back to your original question, which I completely avoided. My older brothers were in bands. I think, I was just singing at an early age. I come from a musical family, big Irish Catholic clan, 6 kids, and everybody can sing and play, and there was always a lot of music in the house. But it was my sisters that were actually the bigger musical influence on me, because they went over. Well, they did like semesters abroad in the early 80s, and so they brought back all the sort of second wave post-punk Brit stuff. I was really sick of classic rock radio, get your motor running, how many times a day can you hear that? I remember just being shot on that stuff by the time I was 13 or 14.
You lived next to Richie Blackmore, right?
Richie Blackmore,
was your neighbor.
He was my neighbor, which is an unbelievable thing. Yeah, he moved in around 1975, I want to say, and I was 9 years old at the time.
And they were at their height. I mean,
they were at their height. Yeah. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was. It was this big scene, like this truck, this huge moving truck, or a couple of them, lurching into the driveway, and these, these mulleted Brits jumping out like, you got to pull it round. No, you've run over the mailbox. No, you've done it, And we're watching these guys scurry around, and they're unloading all this gear. Yeah, I kind of grew up watching him, an authentic, like a real life rock star. I'd see like Joe Lynn Turner walking around his pool in a banana hammock, all these chicks, in bikinis.
That's what you remember from that?
I do. And I remember a couple of things, actually. He never played like rock and roll music, because he would, play music onto the pool area. He had a couple speakers pointing out there. And it was always like Vivaldi and all this classical music. Only artist I ever heard him contemporary was Peter Gabriel. I remember he would play like the Games Without Frontiers. It was a scene, and got to know him a little bit, and so yeah, I think even that, probably enamored me, to the whole life. I'm a Stones. The Rolling Stones are my great love, in music.
But you being like, I seen you perform and you go. So who were your influences as being like, frontman?
Mick it all starts with Mick. He's the diving board. Jim Morrison, Roger Daltrey, definitely Bowie was huge. I also loved James Brown and Jackie Wilson, Prince. I love the way those guys moved. Right. I remember reading an article with Bowie, and he said, one small movement can do a lot.
remember just like listening to music and getting the album out, maybe
Oh yeah.
cleaning out your weed on the album.
Oh yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Just but
That's where you wrote them.
that aside, just the whole listening experience.
Oh yeah.
A romance to going out and getting a record and like just.
The fact that kids don't have that experience, you know, of going into a record store and buying a vinyl album in particular, which really went out, I guess, as I got into my teen years. But as a kid, you know, I mean, I remember buying Born to Run, you know, on vinyl. I remember Let It Bleed, you know, things like that.
I remember like downloading that single, like whatever you know.
No, there's no memory attached to it, probably.
Right.
You know, the record stores back then were amazing in the 70s. It was like, in Huntington, there was a place called Amber Music, and it was a head shop.
Right.
So you'd come in and you'd see this whole assortment of, you know, pot pipes, and that would be like your starter kit when you cut the ribbon on that.
Yeah.
If you did. And but I remember the thing about the guy at the record store. It was almost like going to a bait and tackle or something. Like where are they biting today? You know, like you could still do that. Like this guy educated me. You know, he would sell these bootleg cassettes of live shows, and even the albums. I remember buying Get Your Yayas Out. He was like quintessential live Stones, little man.
And he's right.
Gotta have this one. I have a tendency to get rhapsodic, you know, about that stuff. But.
Rhapsodic.
Rhapsodic.
Yes. No idea. I'm lost. You threw me.
Yeah.
Rhapsodic. Go ahead. Tell me what the fuck that means.
You want me to get rhapsodic
No,
now?
just explain the word to me, please.
Sort of, you know, poetic and, you know, rambling, waxing rhapsodic would be to poeticize and bring some romanticism into whatever it is you're talking about. Giving it a little gas, you know.
You've written so much great stuff. What about writing influences musically?
Paul Westerberg would be a huge one from the Replacements. A guy named Robert Pollard from a group called Guided by Voices. He gets rhapsodic.
What about the Recounts?
The Raconteurs, they're good. They're good, man. I love them. Yeah, I love Jack White.
When did you make the decision to say, this is
To
what
turn
I'm going to
pro?
do? Well, more or less,
yeah.
right?
It's
was there
true.
one moment that happened?
I went to Villanova to play lacrosse, and I guess, you know, my dad kind of guided me that way. I think at that point in time, I probably wanted to not go to college and just jump in a van and do it. So I was, from the moment I got there, I wanted to just be playing music. So I stayed there for 3 years, and I remember that summer just being like, having that pit in my stomach because I had to tell my dad, you know, that I wasn't going back. I'd made the decision, and it was like being pregnant with a secret all summer. He'd be like, so, you know, yeah, you know, we got to get you ready to go back to school. And I'd be like, yeah, you know. But meanwhile, I just had no intention of doing that. I remember I had this, I took, I don't know what course it was. It was like a creative writing course or something down there. And the teacher was a great guy. I was always blown out in his class, like on a Monday, like, because I'd been gigging all weekend. I can't believe I've never talked about this guy before, but I just remember I made up some bullshit lie to get out of the midterm, and he was like, this is the hour of truth, Mr. Campion. He's like, you have to make a decision. Do you belong here, you know? And I was like, no, I don't belong here anymore.
What is your process like, Chris, when you want to write a song? How does it come to you, and how do you get?
I might be walking down the street, and the melody pops in my head,
And what do you do?
I just chase it down. You know, usually maybe some lyrics might come with it, like a phrase or a
When you say
chorus.
chase it down, I mean, more specifically, what does that mean?
Usually I just like let it incubate for a bit, you know, and just rattle around and add to it.
How do you take that melody from your head
Yeah.
and put it into a tangible form?
Well, sometimes, I'll get to a guitar and I'll start working out some changes on guitar.
Right.
I'm not a guitar player, like I don't play guitar on stage, but I play enough to write a song on it. I never wear headphones anywhere. I use that as my time to just let my mind wander and, hopefully wander onto something.
Okay, so with the knockout drops, though, you guys, you attained a nice level of success.
Oh, it was an exciting time. The world. I always like to say that, we started out ostensibly really to just grab the world by the balls, but I never did. The closest I got was just cupping them. Success is such a subjective word.
It is, because what you're going to downplay, other people would strive for.
Yeah. It all depends on how you look at it, and I'm very grateful, for everything that's happened. I remember coming back from the UK. We'd done like an 8 or 9 day hop over there, and I was like, I got to do something else, and that's when I started telling these stories on stage.
But what kind of research went into a story like Escape from Bellevue?
What kind of research?
Yeah.
Let's see, if you wake up and you crack an eye and start power drinking at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's a good starter kit. Make a phone call around 6 or 7 o'clock, to a certain man.
Yeah.
Sometimes named Flacco, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We all know Flacco.
And you have a nice set of keys on you so you can pack your beak. And that's research enough. Just string enough days together, and before you know it.
How much of that got you to the point where you wound up in fucking Bellevue?
The early years, in the middle years, I was kind of like a lampshade with feet. That was my persona. Between 3 and 5 a.m., I started becoming this other guy who my band affectionately nicknamed Bizarro. So I would start, saying like I was going to off myself and, just going to a really dark place. I was saying this out loud to people and never remembering it, like waking up the next day and people would have to tell me. And I remember my girlfriend at the time, I had a dictaphone that I used to like record song ideas into, and she taped me on the dictaphone. And this was like, she played it back for me. It was like, it sounded like Satan dictating his
plan for you.
To his secretary or something, like, I hate everything. It was really hard to listen to. The first thing I said was, well, I think this thing needs batteries. That relationship ended as it should have, and
Wow.
And it was not supposed. Yeah, it was not supposed to succeed, and I was now living with some friends of mine, and I called them at work in the middle of the day, same old song, I'm gonna come in, and they called the EMTs. So they dragged me down to Bellevue, and that was surreal,
7th floor, assorted nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the book I wrote, I remember there was like 2 attendants at each arm, and I had some perverse sense of pride around that. I remember, like, in my fucked up, like, drunken ego, like, it takes 2, And I
Never went down.
I never went down, Ray. I never went down.
And Escape from Bellevue is a very, very funny look at maybe the hardest
Oh, yeah.
of your life.
If I was going to tell the story, I was going to have to make it palatable. Ha-ha! They haven't built the mental institution that can hold me. And, I'm 100% Irish, of Irish descent. And that's our tradition. To, season it with some laughter. Makes it go down easier. But it is funny, one of the worst moments of my life was being on that gurney as they were jamming a Thorazine needle into my arm. I remember thinking, like you got the wrong guy. You know, I grew up on Long Island playing wiffle ball. You know, like I'm not a guy you got to shoot up with Thorazine. But I was, you know, and you know that admission came slowly. But I mean, Thorazine. It's not a recreational drug, you know, and when you're on it, I woke up and, you know, all I remember is now the restraints were off me. And I saw the night nurse over there, and it's a Fellini movie in this ward. It's a, you know, a lockdown ward, Bellevue Hospital. And, you know, the smoke is clearing a little bit, but still pretty foggy. And I got up and I rehearsed this. I like composed a get out speech in my head, and which was comprised of the words, "Hey, you got the wrong guy here. Listen, I don't know what I said. I was drunk, but I don't belong here. You know, this is a mistake. You got to let me out." And so in my head, I made my approach, and I took a deep breath. I got right up to her. In your head, when you're it's, "Hey, you made a mistake here. I'm really sorry. I don't know what I said, but you know, I'm fine to go." That's, you know, and when you're on Thorazine, it comes out like this. Then, I mean, no motor skills to talk. And then I gave it another shot. I recomposed, took another deep breath. Like, oh, this time I'm going to get it. I was like, so these two guys come over and they sort of gently lead me back to bed, where I crashed for another 12 hours. Now I got up and I was clear, you know, and same scene. I'm like, I'm getting out of here, you know, and I go to run over. Now it's a different nurse, and I'm like, this time I'm getting myself out. So I go to walk over, and this guy appears out of nowhere. I call him Dribbly. He appears out of nowhere playing imaginary basketball. He's bouncing a basketball, pantomiming, you know, through his legs. He's like Curly Neal or something. And he's running around, and you know, about 5'0", bald, standard issue, crazy eyes. And so I got to get past this guy to get over to her to say, "Hey, listen, you got to let me out." And so as I'm doing that, like, I go this way, he goes this way. I go this way, he goes this way. He's bouncing the ball. Now I'm like trying to fake left and go right to move him this way to get. So she looks up, and what does she see? Like, he's going like this, and I'm going like this. So now it looks like I'm guarding him. Not a good way to butter the pan for the speech I'm about to give her, which is let me out of here. And so, yeah, I go over there, and she tells me in no uncertain terms that I'd be staying the night. And for a couple days, to get used to my surroundings, you got about 3 days here, pal, you know, yeah. So, and I would love to say that was my one and only trip there, you know, but 3 times, Scott. 3 times. 2.5 if you count my escape, which was on visit number 2.
Whole project.
Yeah, and I won't go into that. You can get a copy of the book and find out how that all unfurled.
Brilliant piece of work.
Thanks, man.
Hysterical.
And there's war stories in there. It was unavoidable, you know. But it's really you know, congruent to all that, which is a little bit of a rock and roll odyssey, I like to say. You know, sort of wire to wire. But congruent to that was like this loss of faith that I had.
Right.
And I grew up Catholic, and you know, in my teen years, somewhere around 18, the bottom dropped out. And you know, they call alcoholism, drug addiction, they say it's a low bottom search for God. Yeah. You know, I've heard that phrase kicked around, And you know, I would co-sign that. I mean, we're here today, Scott, celebrating my failures, which is what I like to do.
Welcome to my
failure. Full transparency.
Listen, you're always welcome to my failure to present your failure.
I believe in full transparency.
It's not like we're getting it out there to the masses.
I'm really sick and tired of trying to appear successful, you know.
But that's the culture. The culture's become that.
You know, you get conditioned to do that.
Yeah.
You remember a couple of years ago that book, The Secret? The Secret.
Secret's out. Yeah.
You know, the secret is you must present, or, you know, power of positive thinking. It's all borrowing from the same old stuff, you know, and to me, I'm going a different way now. Like, my next record's called Watch the Gap, and my next show is going to be called Watch the Gap, same thing. And my philosophy is now like more like driver's ed. You know, like when you hit a skid, they tell you to turn into the skid. So my new thing is, this career is on a skid. I'm just turning into it. I'm going to see if that works.
Okay, what about some of the you've come up with, I guess, periodically in between these other ventures, you've done some like alter ego characters, YouTube stuff, and
yeah,
Shm Butler.
Yeah.
Hysterical character.
That was a character that I came up with because when you're an indie band and, you know, you're out promoting something, you know, we're not walking into these huge radio stations. Lots of times it's like a college radio station or a small AAA radio station. Put together Shimp. I based him on some of the guys that, you know, we met and gave interviews to, and then I also borrow from other people I know. But the characters, you know, he's kind of like one of those guys who's he's rooted in old, you know, he doesn't know that music even exists after about 1978. You know, so everything is like, you know, if I was interviewing you, you know, your influences. Well, listen, I heard your record, and I mean. It's obvious to me that you listen to Foghat, and I mean, you know, so it's it's one of those. It's a fun character to do.
Where else do you get a Foghat reference at this point in
There
time?
you go,
Right?
Uriah Heep.
But listen, one of the greatest parts to me of that character is, remember the album Quadrophenia?
Of course,
the song I'm One.
Yeah, oh, I love it.
Use the term ill-fitting clothes.
Yeah.
I thought I knew what that term meant until I saw Shm Butler.
Yeah.
Then it redefined that term like never before. I mean, clear as day. I mean, what do you call that attire? How did you put that together?
Let's see. Well, Chrissy had an Atari shirt with the sleeves cut off.
Yeah.
So, you know, we thought that worked nicely because I put it on, and there's a nice belly roll coming out. It comes out here, and yeah, and then the shorts with the knee socks.
Yes.
So old school, man. You know.
And
I tried to picture him like the kind of guys you'd see walking into like a Laser Floyd show, you know, at the Hayden Planetarium. You know. So, yeah, bandana around the head.
Oh,
you know,
man.
yeah.
So what do you got on the horizon now? What's coming up for you?
I'm just finishing up this full length, and it's going to be called Watch the Gap. And there's, you know, I'm building towards a theater show with it in the fall.
Why Watch the Gap? Where does that
You know
come
what? I'm always on trains, you know, and there's a song on the record called "Seven Train in Vain." And I'm just always traveling back from gigs, 3 in the morning. You know, you see some really cosmic shit in the bells of the MTA at 3 in the morning. Chrissy and I were up on the platform at 61st Street in Woodside one day, and she, on her iPhone, she snapped a picture of the Watch the Gap, you know, and it was just a cool picture, you know. It had like the tracks, and it's my whole life seems to be I'm on trains just all the time. You know, I saw something a couple of months ago that I was coming onto the train, and it was the 7 train, and I got on at Times Square, and again, you know, really late at night. It must have been probably 3:30 in the morning, and you know, as New Yorkers, we all have a sixth sense. Like when something has already happened, and you walk in and to an environment like a subway car, like, and so I walked in. I knew before I even walked in the door there was something going on, and it was these two guys staring at each other, and the one guy has this big box head, and he looked like he hadn't been home in years, you know, and he was tanked. You could smell him, you know, big bulbous red nose and kind of a glazed over look. And then this other guy on the other side looked like Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction, and he was in these like kitchen scrubs, and he had like the Jerry curl, and a really, really cool looking character. And I walked in, and they're just intensely staring at each other. So obviously something's gone down, but I didn't know what. So I just sat on the bench, and I was like, I sat far enough away where I wasn't going to be in the middle of it, but close enough where I could observe it.
Right.
And they just stared at each other for like 3 minutes, and the kitchen guy had this bag with these like protruding handles, and the big drunk guy, he's like looking at he's like finally out of nowhere, he just goes, "Come on, man, what's in the bag?" And the Sam Jackson guy, he goes, "Never you mind. Nothing you want to know about," you know. And I'm watching these guys, and now I'm curious. I'm like, what is in the bag? It's got these big handles, and I forget all about it. I grab my newspaper, and about 5 minutes later, he just blurts out, "I'm a saucier, motherfucker." So, now, I'm guessing you'll go the rest of your life without hearing the words saucier and motherfucker sandwiched together.
I went this far.
And yeah, you went this far. It never happened before. But I just love the idea of somebody saying saucier with the idea to intimidate. You know, it's like, so I see these kinds of things every night, and they've just kind of been working their way into my next thing. So I'm kind of paralleling that, you know, to I'm 49, you know, and you reach a certain point in your life, and you know, where you got to kind of take a step back and re-up, you know, and assess where you're at, and you know, not lose your excitement for things, not lose your mojo. And you know, I've had you know, you get to be this age, and you know, I've known some people that have fallen victim to that, you know, with depression and alcohol and drugs, and you know, lost some great people. And so I think you know, Watch the Gap is a little bit of a metaphor, you know, that I'm working off of right now. Come September, it'll be fully hatched and ready to go.
But yeah, you took a long time to tell that story, but let me just tell you.
That's gonna be.
I mean, I was 49 when this fucking story started, but you know. I lost one of the best friends I ever had in my life one day. It was just a really, really tough day. And I was just driving home. I get on the expressway, and I'm like, I'm crying. I'm just really, it was a bad time for me. It was rough. And I turned on the radio, and it was ESPN radio, and Scott Clark, who used to do the Eyewitness Sports on Channel 7.
Yeah.
He had a show, and all of a sudden I hear him mention your name. And I'm like, wow, so that made me take my hand off the dial of the car, and you started telling stories. If there was one day or night in my life that I needed to laugh, I needed to laugh that time. You were just recounting some stories about your past, and you told one story about being in your parents' house.
Oh, I know the one you're talking
Please,
about.
because this was the one that put me over the edge.
This story actually fed my denial for years, and he was asking me, you know, sort of what it was like when I first started drinking and using drugs and playing rock and roll, and you know, and when did I know if there was any signs early that may have, you know, like a breadcrumb trail. What was that first breadcrumb? And the first thing that I can remember where I knew this is going to be a problem was I'd had the great Southern Comfort experiments, which we all rite of passage, and I'm trying to call the Southern Comfort at this keg party that I'd played and blacked out, and I came home and I woke up in my bed the next day naked, which was not a common thing. You know, I was not sleeping in the buff in high school. I still don't. That's revealing, being deeply personal. So I woke up and it was one of those things. It was a feeling I'd know for like the next 20 years because it was that, oh no, you know, like immediately got to do the forensics because this ain't right. And I looked around the room and there was no clothing anywhere, you know, and I was like, where are my clothes? So, you know, it was a Sunday morning. I went down to Sunday breakfast, you know, gonna go to mass. I'm looking at some runny eggs on the plate, about 3 sheets of green. My dad, who's, you know, was a real joker. He goes, he just like says to me, you gotta stop coming between me and your mother like this. And I kind of looked up and I was like, what? And I thought maybe I'd asked him for something and he said no, and maybe asked her, did that deal. I was like, what could he be? He goes, why don't you go up to our bedroom? Maybe you'll piece it together. And I got up there and I saw my clothes neatly stacked at the foot of their bed. So I had come home in a blackout and gotten naked and climbed in bed with my parents, which would take a legion of psychotherapists to unravel.
That explains Bellevue.
Yeah,
there you go.
Which I don't want to know the answer. I'm not only am I not going to pay to get that answer, I don't want to know the answer. So, but what happened was I was just paralyzed with dread and terror and freaked out by it. And so I immediately ran into, my dad had a little office in the house. I shut the door. I called one of my best friends, Kyle, and I said, what happened? Like, you know, and he goes, well, you were out of it. You know, we poured you in the door, but and he goes, why? And so then I proceeded to tell him the story, and I told it to him in a state of panic. I didn't tell it to him, you know, with the nuances of a funny story. I was like, you're not gonna believe what I did. I got naked, and I told him what happened. And all I remember is the phone hitting the linoleum floor in his kitchen, spinning, and just hearing him cackling uncontrollably, like echoing through his kitchen. And I was like, And then that Monday, I went into school and I told the story for an entire lunchroom of people, and they roared.
Yeah.
And then it was like, all of a sudden, it was like a light went on. Well, this could be my persona. You know, I'm the drunk idiot who does things like this, and that makes it okay because it's funny. So, you know, maybe I can coast on this for a while, but in my gut, I knew there was something very wrong. But it was, that kind of fed my denial because in my, you know, the equation in my head was like, okay, you know, we started this interview by saying entertainer. You know, I was thinking of the old entertainers like Dean Martin and Foster Brooks. And
I'm sure they got a few of these.
Jackie Gleason and all these, you know, forget about my rock and roll heroes and my writer heroes like Hunter Thompson and all the rest, you know, Frederick Exley was another writer hero of mine. They're all drunks, you know. So I was like, well, maybe I can make this work for me. This will be my thing, you know. I'll just be this jackass that, you know.
To hear a story like that and to think that that's the first breadcrumb.
I wish that was the last thing like that happened. But there are many more things.
And I tell you, you had me howling
when you told that, I'm listening to this, I'm going, this shit is funny, man. You have those certain moments for whatever reason they're going to be,
Yep.
permanently implanted, and that was one of them. Man. It was really,
I'm really glad that.
I'm sorry for that your parents had to go through it today.
Yeah. We tell the story every Christmas, just keep it fresh. It's really good for the grandkids.
How great is it to be able to laugh at it, though?
Oh yeah,
right.
On this side of it,
Yeah.
I mean, sobriety is its own reward, It really is, to like I said, I used to wake up every day with that, oh no, what did I do? And I like that, just, not being able to face life in any situation without front loading it with.
How about having the bullshit story ready?
Oh yeah.
Whatever disaster, you don't know what it's going to be exactly.
Throw that card. Yeah. My dad once said that I was a lying machine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but there's going to be some shame today.
Yeah. Prepare for the shame.
Yeah. But you have like
shame phasers on. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad used to tell me sometimes, he'd say, I don't want to hear how rough the water was. Did you bring the boat in?
Yeah.
That's it. It's a yes or a no. I don't want to hear anything else.
That's a good one. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
I'm driving it. I'm getting the story, man. I remember times working up bullshit stories when I got nothing to lie about, nothing to, but just to stay like
just for sport. Yeah.
It's like developing my craft.
Yeah. I like being out in Queens. The first day I moved in, I was at the supermarket and getting cold cuts, which I hadn't done in 20 years, living in Manhattan, because nobody buys cold cuts in Manhattan. And I was behind this 300-pound guy in a Jet sweatshirt, and he ordered, he said, I'll have a half pound of that Hebrew national bologna. And the kid put it on a digital scale.
Right.
It's very important to the story, digital scale. Hands him, packages of hands to him. He goes, this a half pound? And he's doing the deli hands. He's going, the kid goes, yeah. And he goes, feels a little light. He thought he got shorted a couple of rondelles of bologna, sending a message for next time. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm here for the rest of it. I just love this place.
How would you describe New York?
The title of my essay is New York City, a candy store of wanton chaos. And I say that in the best sense, to me, it's constant inspiration. It's just constant action. You walk out your door, there's a beat to it, there's a pace, and that I just don't find in other places. And we're all in this rumblefish kind of situation where we're close together and brushing elbows, and just the culture of it, and everything is here. Where else can you say that about? I mean, everything is here, and on any given day, you can go on all the rides. My brother lives in Laguna Beach, with his wife and kids, and we went out there, and the Yankees were playing the Angels, and I'm going to qualify this by saying I'm a Met fan. I don't want anyone inferring that I needed to get to this Angel-Yankee game. Mets. But we went to Angel Stadium, and there were these guys that were doing a tour of ballparks, and this was back in '08, before we moved into Citi Field, still at Shea. So they were doing a tour, but they were like, yeah, y'all are from New York, right? Because we're going to be swinging that way, and we're going to do Yankee Stadium, we're going to do Shea Stadium. Anything you want to tell us about it? And I said, well, you'll get off something called the 7 train. And as you walk in, the smell of hot urine will overtake you, and it'll be with you for 9 innings. Yeah. He's like, you go to this place? I go, I can't wait to go again. The next thing I have, I guess, would be May 23rd at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, and that's with the Bogman. And then June 6th at Max Cellar in Bushwick. And the record will be out over the summer, so we'll be doing something big.
What about any more pizza candy store gigs?
Yeah, I'm setting some up now. It's funny, I don't do the fan page thing. I mean, I have one.
What, one fan?
I have one fan that I check
I
in
need
with.
one. That's what I don't have any.
I have one fan that I check in with daily. It all orbits around
You have
him.
your own
If
whack
I
pack?
lose him, it's over. So, yeah. I don't know about you. Whenever I have to shill anything, I get like a pit in my stomach.
Promote your shit. You know, I just put it out.
Even on stage, when I go to like say things like this or
Yeah.
whatever, I have this thing
All right.
inside me that recoils.
All right, but dude,
'Cause
you
I feel like
put
it's
your heart
somehow
and-
in bad taste.
All right, think of it
to
this
tell people what I'm doing.
You put your heart and soul into this fucking thing, right?
I
You
did.
busted your ass to
I
get to
did.
this point.
I did. Now into the camera. Well, you just said I put my heart and soul into it. I don't have to say it again, do I?
I'm not looking in the camera. You know, I mean,
Please come.
Yeah, all right.
No, I have the secret. The secret. Come if you want.
Yeah,
Doesn't
all
matter
right.
to me. I'll be there. That's what the secret tells you.
Well-
Appear successful.
Listen.
Posture.
When you've made it to this seat,
Posture yourself.
when you've made it to this seat
Yeah.
on the roof,
I've already
that
landed
means that's
in
it,
the
man.
winner's
You have
circle.
arrived.
I have.
Yeah.
And I feel that way. Yeah. Chris Campion, find my shit online if you want. If you don't want to, hope to see you out on the trail somewhere.
There you go.
We'll have
Chris,
a laugh.
I thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you, Scott.
You're the man.
Yeah.
This was great.
This is killer
Great
show,
time,
man. Keep it up.
I'll do my
I am a
best.
fan. I watched the Colin Quinn interview.
My fan?
Yes, I'm your orbited all around me.
I thought it was Shm.
Yeah, Shem. I got to do Shem. We'll have Shem on.
I would-
That would be two.
oh, my
two hosts. Battle of the Titans.
Oh,
Clash
my
of the
Lord.
Titans. Yeah.
I can't hold a stick next to
Shm Butler. Yeah. It's, if you want to find that, it's I think it's Chris Campion, the Shm Butler interview. where,
It's funny
yeah,
as hell, man.
Interviewing myself.
All right, buddy. We're
Yeah.
good.
Go, man.